Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. I'm my co-host Rich. Alongside me, as always, my co-host Runz.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a pretty packed podcast tonight. We have preview for Ring of Honor's biggest event, Final Battle, as well as a preview for WWE pay-per-view, which doesn't happen that often, TLC, this Sunday night. All right, so how do you want to get started, man?
I mean, I guess we could talk about, just briefly RAW and Smackdown, and then we'll get into Final Battle. I really enjoyed both shows this week. I thought Raw was the best it's been since the brand split, and I think, that's because we've had a couple of months to develop what they want to do on Raw, and this is the first time that we don't have a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series looming over our head, and, now they can have a month and a half, because the Rumble doesn't, I don't count that because nothing really changes for the Rumble. Like, they don't do anything special. The guys are in the Rumble, they have their interactions in the Rumble, then they go on to Mania. So everything is intertwined there, so I think this is their best week so far, like I said, and, hopefully this continues. We'll discuss the main event after your thoughts, but I think that was, one hell of a main event and really picked up any slack that there was on that show.
Yeah, actually, I watched every minute of WWE programming except for NXT. I even watched some of Talking Smack this week. So, although I didn't watch, is it Raw Talk?
No, I don't even think they have that. They had it one time, and that was it.
All right, so
it makes no sense because Kevin Owens and Jericho were
absurd.
The funniest I've ever seen anything on that episode, and just never did it again. Maybe they did it after the pay-per-view, though, so maybe after this pay-per-view they'll have one. I think.
Well, I really liked Raw. I thought SmackDown was well done. Raw was actually, for me, if I had to, if somebody asked me which one should I watch this week, I would have actually had to pick Raw.
Raw was better, yeah.
Yeah,
Raw was for one of the few times since, but Raw was definitely better this week.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my what's his name, James Ellsworth, bias aside, basically, where just that focus. It's good and it's being well told. It bothers me to see someone in that position when you could have there are countless guys who deserve it.
I talked about this with a friend yesterday, saying that I've kind of come to terms with that it couldn't be anyone else in that role. Like, he's such a loser, and he's never gonna amount to great success. So if you put anyone from NXT in there, that's it kind of kills them. Like, they're a joke. So that's the part that I've kind of been like, okay, this guy, he gets tossed around by everyone. Yes, he's beaten the world champion 3 times, but that's because Dean Ambrose beat the world champion, so whatever. But yeah, I've kind of accepted Ellsworth in this role.
Who's more effective in this role? Mikey Whipwreck when he was in, with ECW, or Ellsworth here?
Well, I mean, I think that's a completely different ball game because ECW was a much more hardcore and smaller fan base but more hardcore fan base that, they really got behind Whipwreck, and he was able to win the world title and the tag team titles and whatever else, but I don't see that for Ellsworth. If like we both said there should have been someone from NXT, then that's possible. But in this role, I don't see that.
All right. So, do you want to get started just kind of going by Raw a little bit?
Well, I mean, I don't even think we have to really go through much, but that main event, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a women's match that I enjoyed that much. Like, them fighting everywhere and going the moonsault off the announce table. It was perfect. It was really good. The end submission through the stairs thing, that was crazy, through the handrail. That was great, man. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's so cool to see because this wasn't pushed as, oh, this is the first time ever that the women are doing that. It was just pushed as a regular match, and it was just pushed as a regular Falls Count Anywhere, and it wasn't the women, the women, the women. They were just treated as equals, and that was dope to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they were able to do this and walk into it without having a warning from Mick Foley telling them what they could do to their bodies. I actually thought so. I love the match. I just didn't like the ending, and I have to, fully say it might be just because I'm a Charlotte Flair mark. It was in Charlotte. I'm thinking like, how dare they? But at the end of the day, I think that when I step back and you look at this rivalry overall, it'll be okay. I just don't really appreciate the title going back and forth so much.
Right, and I agree with that element to a degree. If the belt was going between Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Nia, Dana, Becky, then I would have a problem.
Okay.
But because it's just Sasha and Charlotte trading wins, I kind of don't mind it. Because it's just legitimately any given night, either one of these women is the better wrestler. And I think that's really cool that they're able to do that. And, the whole thing where Charlotte only wins on the pay-per-views, and she just beat Sasha in her hometown, so now Sasha gets the win back on Raw in her hometown. I knew it was coming. I didn't see any other way that Raw was ending. The crowd was booing the hell out of Charlotte anyway, so it wasn't like it was going to be a hometown moment. And just the whole build-up was kind of just, I'm better than her, I'm going to win. And, Charlotte always plays that role of perfection, just, screaming at her like, you're going to quit, what are you doing, you got to do this. It was just, it's all.
No, you're completely right there. I mean, the story, there's nothing wrong with the way this story is working out. I think they're doing a good job, and you're right. With Sasha losing in Boston, it made sense here to have Charlotte, win in Charlotte. So that's a little kind of weird to say. I mean, Charlotte losing Charlotte, kind of that even Stevens thing. And I'm okay with that. I mean, it's kind of some of the 50-50 booking they're doing. I just feel like this feud would have played out so much better in, I'm being ridiculous, but 1992. When you had 4 pay-per-views and you had, some Saturday night's main events, and have Sasha win at one event and then, or Charlotte win in and then a Saturday night's main event, which didn't happen all the time. That would just make me feel a little better. I understand that because of the fact that they have so many of these big events, they have these changes happen, I think, more frequently than the story needs it to be.
I get what you're saying. Like, the amount of shows is definitely a factor, but we don't see it all the time. Where the New Day has been the champions for almost 2 years or a year and a half. The Ballard Owen swap was whatever because he got hurt, but Ambrose held it for a while. Now it's been Styles for a little bit. Heath Slater and Ron have been the champs. Becky's been the champ. So I don't, The Miz and Ziggler, that's kind of the same thing. They just have such a heated rivalry. They're so even or whatever, back and forth, that it happens. And I don't really mind that, If there's a reason and logic behind it, it's okay. But when they're just doing it between 4 or 5 people and it's going this way and that way, then that's when it's like, all right, they're just hot potatoing this thing. But at least between 2 people, it's acceptable.
All right. What did you think about the Owens reactions on Raw? Because I thought the post match was just awesome.
I can't remember specifically, but like he's always on fire, and the whole stuff with Jericho and throwing him to the side and all that. It's interesting, I thought that we were going to get another Jericho coming out and helping him anyway, and this was all a big, farce and all that. But I like that Rollins pedigreed him on the car. I thought that part was cool. So, just more enjoyment from Owens.
Yeah, I mean the the post-match thing that he did with I forget, I don't know who he was yelling at somebody to get him water, but he was like, how can I wrestle in there, knowing my friend's in the hospital, and it's not fair.
Yes.
So I thought that was I thought that was genius, just classic heel stuff. And it's weird because imagine, and it's hard, but go back and have Finn Balor not get hurt.
Right.
I don't even know if everything's working as well.
I think it would be, because I think they had a plan for that, and Balor would have been great, but Owens is money, and this gave Owens a chance, and Owens and Jericho were a tag team, and they were entertaining then, and now this just kind of took them to another level, being able to just go out there and say whatever they wanted and act however, and make people laugh. And their chemistry and their bickering and all that stuff was so good, because Jericho, even though they're funny and whatever, Jericho is being annoying, and they're still both heels, but just different levels of heel. Like Jericho is that annoying older corny guy, and Owens is what he is. He's the world champ. He's a tough guy, and it works well.
Whoa! How's Jericho corny? What are you talking about? Every once in a while, you make a comment that makes me a little concerned about our friendship here, and it always relates to Kevin goddamn Owens. If it's Kevin Steen and Generico, you have this whole idea that Steen kills Generico, and we both have different sides. In this friendship, I am a Jericho fan, and you're now calling him corny, and I'm older? I don't know, man.
That's what his character is.
I don't see that. I think he's just hilarious.
He's wearing a scarf with anchors on it and putting people on a list.
He's the anchor of the team.
That's the point of this Jericho character, is that he's over the top and old, and still just making these comments or these things that just are like, oh, come on, man.
I don't understand why you're viewing it this way. We're gonna have to move on, but I'm just a little concerned about you're just kind of putting down Jericho for no reason. He's like a regular older guy.
I'm not putting him down at all. That's what his character is. That's why he's gotten over. You know what I mean? Like, he's succeeding at that character. It's great. I enjoy the hell out of it, but that's because I enjoy the corny jokes and the corniness of him.
Yeah, somebody whose students call him LaCorny, I kind of
nice.
take.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, it hit home a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Just see, older guy over here wears scarves, makes great jokes, and
it's weird hair.
Whoa! That never even. Wow!
Big guy with the beard.
It's all coming out over here, man. This is absurd. All right, no, but I'm really enjoying it. I just wonder, I wonder how much Balor being involved would have prevented this coming from Owens. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten this crazy platform. And that's
he clearly wouldn't have been the champion. So.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been the champion, but they have it's clear to me that they have so much faith in him right now.
Right.
And I don't think they had that in him just before.
No, see, I disagree. Are you kidding me?
Well,
okay.
I mean,
he came into NXT, killed Sami Zayn on his first night, won the belt on his first pay-per-view, then came on Raw a month later and beat John Cena. There has always been something. I know what it is because I see the same thing. That's why I love him so much. But there's something that they see that, they are, oh, okay, this guy can be a guy. They were 100% right. So, when Balor went down, I think it was like, okay, we can't put it on Reigns. We're not going to put it back on Rollins. Who's the next best guy we have? And the answer to that is Kevin Owens. So I think that's pretty cool that he's in that top tier, whether they really see him that way, whether it was a fallback, whatever. Being the fallback is still okay because you're still the champion. You're still seen as a champion. So regardless if he was the first or second option, he was an option. Some guys were not options. I'm just saying this because they're the same kind of level.
Here it goes.
But look at what's happening with Sami Zayn right now. He's in a decent on and off thing with Strowman that's kind of enjoyable. And now cut a great promo with Foley calling him a bad GM. And, hopefully this leads to some trades and stuff. But I think it's quite possible that what happened to Sami Zayn could have happened to Owens if Balor didn't get hurt. He was in the tag team. He was on a tag team match at SummerSlam. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe they were going to be the tag team champions. I don't know. But still, I'm not sure, he would have gotten more over than he was.
By the way, that promo on Foley was a shoot. I
great.
think. I think
it was
it was
great.
I think it was a shoot. I was completely with him. I was like, yeah, man. Like, who are you, Foley? Who are you to say anything?
I think it was perfect because aside from really small instances, we've never seen Sami Zayn angry. And, yes, he was angry when he was coming back for the NXT title or when Owens beat him up, but it wasn't prolonged. It wasn't for an entire promo. He was more like, you know what, me and Kevin have a long history, and I'm going to go get him. And, it wasn't this riled up. And so I think that element added to it the, more realness and gave it that feeling of like, oh, shit, this is all right. This is cool. He's right. So this is even better.
I mean, I want to see him used so much more. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens and how this develops. It
can only be a good thing.
Oh, 100%. I'm trying to think of what else we should talk about from Raw.
I don't think there's anything else from Raw, and I mean, honestly, from SmackDown, the only thing I care to talk about is the Ellsworth beatdown and the Styles clash off the steps, because that was amazing.
I can't be the only person in America who saw what was about to happen and thought Ellsworth might forget again and die.
Oh my God, I thought about it, but I was like, nah. After the last time, there's no way they would do it again if he didn't know. Like, pick your head up, don't tilt it in, pick it up.
That scared me
because that would have been a straight pile driver. Like, ugh.
Oh, that scared me more than Shane. Like when Shane got to the top, like I actually felt sicker to my stomach when I saw. I was like, oh no! Oh, can't you just picture James Ellsworth backstage, like going, pull back, pull your neck back, pull your neck back, pull your neck back, like 1,000 times before he went into the ring.
Yeah, just running through his head the entire time in the Styles clash.
Oh man, that was. But I also, that was great, and I thought that was well done altogether. I also thought that the contract signing was really good.
Signing was very good. I really liked the promo work. I liked them going through the table and them making that the tables match.
Yeah.
You brought it up, so what did you think?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I make, obviously, Statwife watch. She doesn't, I don't make her. It's on the TV, and she can choose to watch what she wants to watch. She keeps saying that she doesn't want to like Alexa Bliss, but that Alexa Bliss is really good. And, I think that she's really been, she's been a star on SmackDown. And, I wouldn't, we'll talk about this and her chances in the match later, but I think that she has proven that she can take the ball and run with it.
Yeah, I agree. And, that's the beauty of SmackDown is it's all of those third and fourth and fifth options and some people we never saw on main roster yet. And they're all getting a chance to be the number one option. And here, take the ball and run with it a little bit. So that's awesome, and it's great that they did this brand split because everyone on SmackDown I legitimately think would have been forgotten. What happens to AJ Styles on Raw? What happens to Ambrose on Raw? What happens to Alpha and the Usos and Becky? They're all forgotten in the shuffle. The focus is on Sasha and Charlotte and Bayley and, New Day and now Cesaro and Sheamus. And there are so many other people on Raw that are getting the attention that would have not, that could have gone to these people and wouldn't have because they weren't getting that same attention on Raw in the first place.
The SmackDown people, I think I like SmackDown so much for the same exact reasons, and being a slight underdog in athletic competition very often myself. SmackDown's kind of like those days when I played football and there weren't that many people there in the morning because it was a cold, terrible day, and I was like, "Oh, today I get a chance." And
right, that's why SmackDown feels a lot fresher than Raw, is because it's people we didn't get to see a lot of. So now we're getting to see a lot of them. It's like, oh shit, look at all these new stars that are happening. But on Raw, it's legitimately the same people that were on top, and that's not a bad thing.
No,
it's
a good thing.
It's not their fault, right? it's not their fault, like those are the top guys in the company. It is what it is. But I've enjoyed both shows, and that's great because I was worried SmackDown would just be whatever, and it's most weeks it's been better than Raw, so I've been pretty happy overall. The other thing, I'm sorry, was the Wyatts and American Alpha. I thought that was a great tag team match. I enjoyed the super babyface Alpha and the really heel Wyatt family. I thought that's a good mix, and maybe the Wyatt family wins. I think the Wyatt family wins the titles, and then they have a feud with Alpha.
Well, so first of all, I just wanted to say, in the future, if I seamlessly make a DDP WWE reference, he's WWE, I would appreciate if you popped a little more for that, because I don't think that was appropriate.
You made a DDP reference?
I said it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
You
it's
said
a good
that?
thing. Yeah, yeah.
I never knew that.
When he was with Christian. Do you remember when he was training Christian to not be so angry?
Yeah, I remember him with the pants, but I don't remember. That's not a bad
thing. That's a good thing.
See, I don't remember that. All
right. Okay. Fair. Then all is forgiven. I really like the interaction with Alpha and Bray. It's weird because I'm still gonna be skeptical with Bray until I see something happen, I guess.
Yeah, and I think they keep teasing that split, whether it's Harper and then Orton or whatever the case. But it's the less obvious it becomes more obvious to me that Orton is going to make that split, or going to cause problems there and then tear it down from the inside, whatever the case. This is just the prolonged Daniel Bryan,
Yeah.
This was the Daniel Bryan story that literally lasted a week, and this was the same thing.
No, yeah, I actually I can't believe that I like Randy Orton again.
Yeah, he's enjoyable in this role, man. He really is.
For so long, I know that some would say that he's, kind of had different facets, but just for a long time, I've just been out of favor with his character. I'm not sure really what it. Maybe
right,
it was
because he's had different facets, yes, but he's always been exactly the same. His look, his everything, his monotonous talking, none of that has ever changed.
And your white set hips.
I still love that guy. He's still awesome. He always will be. But there was a good period of time. I'm right there with you that I was just like, Orton, God, he was once my favorite wrestler, and then it definitely took a step back. But I've enjoyed him since he came back. I thought it's the time off definitely helped, and it's felt a little fresher.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's really it for SmackDown, by and large.
Yeah, anything else we can touch on when we discuss TLC.
All right, so do you want to just go into TLC and then we'll go into ROH for the home stretch?
I figured we would go in order, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay, no, so let's do that actually because it makes sense. So tomorrow night, December 2nd, at the Hammerstein Bowl. Friday night.
Who knows when people listen to this?
Oh, that's true. That's true. All right. I'm assuming that everyone's just gonna be hot off the presses, new podcast. No,
but if you release it Friday, then it's still not tomorrow. But anyway, either way.
Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it?
Correct. So if you say tomorrow,
on Friday, then I'm talking about Saturday.
Correct.
It's a good thing I only
come on, ELA.
Books. All right. Well, calendar, that's complicated stuff. I don't know how many days there are and everything. But so, Final Battle, it's Ring of Honor's biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's basically their I'll say they're Starrcade. I mean, WrestleMania is the easier reference, but Starrcade was in December and was kind of the end of the year, and I have always liked that a little bit. So go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I've just really I always kind of enjoyed this idea that I make jokes about how I wish people Happy New Year's the day after WrestleMania because it's the start of the wrestling year, but I actually like this idea that the all the biggest feuds culminate in December,
right,
and get a fresh start.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Is like I love Final Battle because it's just that it's the Final Battle. It's the feuds from the year or the biggest things that were going on are now all ending, like you said, or for the most part at least. And that's really fucking cool. And yes, this will be the start of Cody Rhodes there, but that's okay. I'm fine with that too. It's like you said, it is their WrestleMania, it is their Starrcade, it is their biggest show, and I cannot wait. We'll be there in attendance, and when I was getting prepared for the show, I looked at the card and I just laughed. Like every match on that card makes me excited, and I don't know, it's going to be really fun. I'm a little annoyed that we have to go to the city, but La Boom is 3 blocks away, so that ruins me. But 45-minute train ride is doable.
I'm really excited about being Hammerstein. I've never been to Terminal 5 for anything really, but I
think I didn't go like on purpose.
Yeah, it was almost like I want to be at Hammerstein. I want those like wedding style kind of chairs they almost have there, because it's just and it's also a place that Roseland altogether. I've been there for concerts and things like that, so. It's just the place where I want to watch. When I think of Ring of Honor, I think of the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Right.
So I'm just really happy to kind of be going back there. And like you said, before we get into like a match by match thing, the entire card is super stacked. I mean, the only thing that I wish had happened on this card, the only thing.
Yeah, I know. War Machine and
yes.
Taylor and later.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I wanted that.
Can't happen because of logistics.
No, yeah, they're in Japan and everything, doing well over there in the tournament. But I just that's the only thing that I think that for me was missing in really closely watching Ring of Honor this entire year. I mean,
I wonder. Go ahead.
In the past, we've gone to Final Battle and I've enjoyed it, and you always tell me to go watch this on YouTube or watch this DVD or buy this, and I don't, and I didn't watch it, so this last year of just watching every week and then watching every VOD, and also just small things like the Fight app, so that I used to get angry about the way their schedule was, and then I'm just kind of caught up a little bit quicker. I still wish it was in a Sinclair Broadcasting Channel area, but so I could watch it on Saturday nights or at least DVR it. But this has been the year that I've been the most involved, so this Final Battle for me, it's almost like my first Mania because I'm just so into it right now.
Right. And the beauty of this too, I think, is even if you're someone like me who's followed Ring of Honor for a long time, and this year kind of been on and off, watching all the pay-per-views, following the results, but not really watching the weekly. You have matches on this card that aren't just a year in the making. Cole and O'Reilly is their entire careers in ROH in the making. And, Cody versus Lethal is just, you don't even need to say anything. But the Briscoes and the Bucks, those are just 2 of the best tag teams in ROH history. So it's a nice card where whether you're following the everyday product or you're not, there are a bunch of matches that are going to get you excited. Even if you're just from the UK and just watch Skrull and Ospreay, then I'm sure you're excited to see this too. So, now we can get a little more into the card and more in depth on these matches. But man, top to bottom, it's going to be a great show.
Yeah. So, actually, before we start, I just want to kind of a quick update. This is a live update. So. The Young Bucks, their contract actually expires December 31st. They were offered a contract by Ring of Honor, and it seems by this weird tweet that I'm reading right now of Matt Jackson put out a pen what looks like a document, money, emoji family, emoji bread, and fork and knife, which I can only assume by hieroglyphics that this must mean, hopefully, they re-signed family. I'll have food to eat. So
Yeah, they're headed to NXT.
Don't. I was actually hoping. Okay, that would upset me. I really hope they stay, and we'll get into that when we get to that match. But I just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget because I just saw that right now. The first match I think is going to happen. I mean, depending on how they work the card, but you have the Motor City Machine Guns teaming up with Donovan Dijak, and they'll be taking on the group formerly known as the Cabinet. They're now known as the Rebellion. Caprice Coleman, Kenny King, and Rhett Titus.
Which, I mean, I like way better than the Cabinet.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, if you've been watching there, it's basically like the Cabinet came out, or the Rebellion came out, and they basically said, hey, this was a stupid gimmick, and that's not who we are. And, you know,
all right, this is over now. The election's done.
Yeah, but they played it really nicely. They're like, we were forced to do this, and we don't want to do this anymore. This is, you know, we're being made a mockery of. So they're just kind of they're just meaner, and they have more of an edge. And recently, the Machine Guns have been talking about getting more like-minded people to join them, and they mentioned Leo Rush, Donovan Dijak, and they also mentioned Jay White. So with, you know, White and Rush are actually in the six-man tag team championship tournament finals. So Dijak on a recent VOD, the Rebellion was beating down the Motor City Machine Guns, and he came out. He had been a little injured, so he did his best, but they were still overwhelmed by the numbers. But it seems like he might be aligning with them. So I think it's a great direction for him to go in. I think it makes the Machine Guns that much more relevant, and especially if this is the opener, as good as the Rebellion / Cabinet has been this entire year. Because I thought they've basically taken something that wasn't much and they've made a lot out of it for the entire year. You know, I see the new look Motor City Machine Guns going over here.
I highly doubt that this will be the first match, but what's the point if the Rebellion doesn't win? But I guess that's the point with them. There is no real backing or anything like that, but I would love to see them cheat and get the win here. Let's not be disrespectful to the Tempura Boys and Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara because they're having a pre-show match, but that's all right.
Oh, then I had not read that announcement. So it's, you said
it's on ringofhonor.com.
All right.
Show and Yo Tempura, the Tempura Boys versus Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara.
Well, I'm super excited. As you know, I don't live very far from Parkside, Brooklyn, where Will Ferrara is from. But honestly, I've actually I like Ferrara and Cheeseburger. They're a fun duo.
Right.
No, I'm being dead serious.
So am I.
Oh, I thought
no, my rights were agreeing with you. Cheeseburger is a fun babyface, and Ferrara, he's a little small, but he's pretty talented. So they're a nice little duo, and we'll see. This should be an okay little opener.
No, yeah, as ridiculous as the Tempura Boys name is, Sho and Yo actually have been wrestling on they've been on TV and they've also been on some of the VODs. They're a good duo. They really work well in the ring. Ferrara being on the small side makes me love him even that much more. So I'm gonna say Ferrara and Cheeseburger go over.
Agreed.
All right. And then you said that you think the Cabinet, you like to see them cheat. I'm going with.
I'm sorry, who?
You said, the Rebellion. You said you want to see the Rebellion cheat. I don't. But this
is... just, to more so, Rhett Titus and even more so Kenny King have always been my boys. So I'm rolling with them. You ain't running with us, you're running from us.
No, if it wasn't for the fact that, and I'll be a fan here, I like Dijak and the Machine Guns so much. I think that I'd probably go with the Rebellion, but oddly here, I'm a big supporter of the faces.
What?
All right, so
Makes sense.
let's see. You have Silas Young is going to take on Jushin Thunder
Liger.
Yeah. The build for this would I find it to be amazing, but we talked about it a little bit last week that they were able to start to build because the guy was in the audience dressed as Liger. Like, it made it that much better. This guy, I think Ultimo Liger, he calls himself. He cosplays as Liger whenever he goes to the Ring of Honor events. So I thought it was amazing. Like, there's a part of me that's like, they were backstage and they told Styles, yo, you gotta cut this promo. And then suddenly when they saw everyone coming in, they're like, yo, Ultimo Liger was here. You just cut it on him.
Yeah. Or they like called that guy, like, hey, come to the show.
Man, I want to be that guy. I'll dress as anybody. Friar Ferguson, it doesn't matter. No, but okay. So I kind of said this earlier, but Silas has to win this match. I'm warming a little bit to how big it is, I guess.
Do you remember when we had this conversation a year and a half ago about Tyler Breeze and said, no, Tyler Breeze has to win this match, and then he didn't?
I don't really want to discuss that again. Yeah, I guess that's...
I'm just saying, I think the same exact logic applies here. Like, Silas is so good at that mid-card heel, and it's Liger, so I don't know.
Liger's going to be in the decade of... So, 2 nights later in Philadelphia, they're gonna have a Decade of Excellence tournament, and it's guys who have been in Ring of Honor for 10 years.
It's crazy.
So, Liger's entered. So, I don't think he doesn't need to win here. Silas does. Silas just fought for the title. You want to keep him. You don't want to keep. I don't think he needs to be mid card. I think he actually needs to be upper card. I think he's got the chops as a heel to do it. So, I'm 100% going with the last real man, Silas Young.
And just for the fun of it, I'm going Jushin Liger.
This is going to be, by the way, we haven't mentioned we're going to be in attendance, sitting right next to each other. So,
yeah, I mentioned that before, but either way.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll mention it again because I'm super hyped about this. So, I think
most matches, I think we're going to be on the opposite side. So
yeah, this is
we'll continue to go through.
This is going to be fantastic. All right. So I'll go right now. Cody Rhodes. Or sorry.
Well, we have Cabana and Castle.
Oh yes. All right. So actually, later on in the show, right after we go over our final battle kind of thoughts, we'll have a brief interview with Dalton Castle, and to say that it is intriguing is an understatement. But so this whole thing with Castle and Cabana, they basically started teaming. They earned a tag team title shot by winning a 4-corner survival tag match at All-Star Extravaganza back in September. And then in October, about 2 weeks later at Glory by Honor, they were in a Champions versus All-Stars match. And it ended up being down to them and the Young Bucks. And Castle grabbed the mic. He had just pinned Adam Cole. So I guess he was a little excited. And he basically challenged the Bucks for their tag team title shot, like putting up the opportunity right on the spot. And, it seemed like Cabana was a little like, we don't know if we should do this. But anyway, they went forward. They ended up losing. And then afterwards, there was the kind of ongoing story that they had to start from the bottom again. And 1 week on television, they were going to go out, and Castle couldn't find his boys. And you saw feathers in the door frame. And Cabana's like, come on, let's just go. And they ended up losing. The next week, they do find the boys. Castle said, I think if I had the boys, we'd win. And they won in like 2 minutes, very quickly, all Castle, basically. And Cabana got on the mic and asked, politely, or said, I think this is, I'm done here. We're going to basically go our separate ways. He put his hand out. And then, Castle extended his arms for a big hug. Got kneed in the ding-ding, as Karina would say. And then Cabana attacked the boys, grabbed their fans, and actually kind of busted Castle open before leaving him in the ring. Who do you think goes over here?
I think that this has been very well done. I've enjoyed it. Like you said, the build has been really good. And I don't know. I think Castle, is the younger of the two, and he's definitely the more prominent star at this point in Ring of Honor. So I would be a little surprised if he doesn't get the win, but I don't know. This is tough because I love both of these guys, and they're both entertaining as hell. So I really don't know. I mean, this on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, two guys are going to be wrestling that have both been on the Running Wild podcast, and that's outrageous in itself. But I don't know. It's hard to pick, but I'm going to go with Castle just because he's got the brighter future in Ring of Honor, in the long term.
Cheap plug, if you guys want to hear that Colt Cabana interview, make sure you check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, and you guys can, listen to it before the event and see what his thoughts are on this interaction he's been having with Castle. So I completely agree with you here. Now, I would not be upset if Cabana wins by hook or crook.
Absolutely not.
It can't be clean. That's my only thing. If Cabana wins on a clean pin, I'll be furious.
The only thing here is it's final battle. So I would assume, this is the end of that little brief storyline that they had, and, they both move on and go their separate ways from here. So that would deter the Cabana, cheating, but I wouldn't mind that either. Like I said, both are entertaining as hell, so I'm going to enjoy this match.
Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, I'm going with Castle. I think for all the same reasons you were saying. He's young, he's upcoming. Earlier in the year, and actually it's kind of weird because in the interview he says that 2017 is going to be the year of the Peacock, and I actually wrote at the beginning of the year, way back in February, that I thought, or at the end of January, that 2016 was going to be the year of the Peacock. So he's done well. I was a little upset when he didn't take the TV title from Fish early in the year, but I think this interaction has kept him relevant, and I think that he wins here and becomes even more relevant and kind of entrenched as part of the roster.
I agree.
So what match do you want to go over next?
We can talk about the 6-man championship, which, for a second, I kind of just saw the match, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and I forgot that, we haven't seen these belts, right? Or have they shown them on TV or anything?
I feel like the belt was actually shown when they announced the tournament.
Oh, okay.
I will look that up right now. So basically, a little bit background here. So Ring of Honor did something that I thought was pretty well done, although it's still a little odd. So obviously you had ACH competing in the tournament with Kushida and Jay White, and part of that reason was because Rush had gone on an international tour to Germany. So he was originally slated to be there, and then ACH apparently stepped in. So they kind of brought this back up real quick, and they announced, ACH has left the company. So they ended up announcing that since Rush had been the original guy who was slated to be there, he now was able to step into the match in the finals. Kind of like a I referenced this the other day, but is it Mighty Ducks 2 when Adam Banks gets hurt and he comes back? His wrist gets hurt and he can't play, but then he comes back and he's fine to play at the end of the movie in the finals. And Charlie Conway, being the great teammate, he sits out and he becomes kind of like a player coach type thing and doesn't play, and Banks gets his spot. And I kind of thought about that when I was thinking about how Rush was out, but now he's back, so he gets his spot back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a little more sense than him just being thrown in, so that's okay. And I'm Googling, I can't find any pictures of the belt or anything like that, so
if you just Google ROH 6-Man Tag Team Championship and not look for images, it actually comes up further. Well, actually, no, if you go to images, I believe you'll see it.
Nope, still don't, but that's okay.
I wrote 6. Did you write 6-man out as a word, 6, and not the number?
Now I will.
Okay. I think they look pretty nice. I mean, I like the look of ROH's belts, so I think they did a good job here. And it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's not like, wow, this is spectacular. But I actually,
where do you see that?
So I googled ROH 6-Man Tag Team Championship.
Correct.
And when I pressed images, it is the 5th image. All right. Well, while you're looking that
I
up.
only see like old Ring of Honor belts and the Ring of Honor World Tag Team belts and that kind of a thing. Text me it.
All right.
But
I will.
yeah, so uh, I it's cool that we'll be there for the first uh, title match and the first champions, which is where I was going with this before we got sidetracked. So it'll be cool to see the belts in person and all of that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. I think this is fairly obvious that the Kingdom wins, but it could be wrong. Kushida is really good, and White is an up-and-coming star, and so is Rush. So they could go that way, but I think the Kingdom is where they're kind of putting their money, and I enjoyed what I saw from them recently, and so I'm looking forward to this too.
No, I actually. So I completely agree. I mean, they had this whole thing where Taven has been, on the mend, and you had Michael Bennett leaving with Marie Kanellis, and then basically you had Adam Cole be kicked out in a way of the Kingdom. So Taven reformed in his own image, and he's got Vinny Marcellia and TK O'Ryan, two Northeast guys from like the Boston kind of area, who are up and comers. They're really great in the ring. The only thing I don't like is their finishing move. It's like a power bomb where Taven is holding the guy up, and they bounce off the ropes and jump up in the air and like slam him down a little bit. But they grab the guy's shoulder almost, and like they fall on their backs too. It's a little weird looking. But other than that, I think they've worked really well together. I think Taven's time in CMLL has also really helped, like his kind of this trio's kind of match type and how well he's been working there. But it's the story of the Kingdom returning and the Kingdom coming to glory, and I think that Kushida could win the title. And as we went over earlier in the year, New Japan guys can come in and win a title. Ishii did that and took the television title. I don't really like when that happens. The entire tournament for me was weird in that you had one side completely decided in the finals before you saw the other side, and part of that was because of CMLL guys coming in and Kushida's schedule, I assume. So I want the Kingdom to win 100%.
Right. And apparently you don't watch ROH all the time or know how to read, because that's the tag team title.
Oh, well, that's not my fault. I apologize.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that's not the six-man title, so we don't know what they look like.
You seem to be correct. I am rather embarrassed right now, and I'm considering cutting this out of the podcast so that nobody knows that I made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I love those tag team titles, but I can't wait to see what these six-man titles look like. That was my whole thing here, so that'll be really interesting to see, since there apparently are no pictures and they haven't been released yet. So, that'll be dope. I love seeing new belts and new champions crowned, etc.
All right, I have redeemed myself, and I actually found the real ones. And they do have a weird cut at the bottom where it seems like it's a cod piece a little bit. I don't know if you can, if you see that image right now.
I see that, and I don't know. That's from a TV, or it looks like somebody made it.
No, it's actually, now that I remember, now that I'm thinking back to it, and I know that sounds like I'm just backtracking, trying to cover my tracks, but I honestly do remember seeing this and thinking that it looked a little bit like a cod piece. That was the word that stuck out in my brain when I saw it the first time, because it's very oddly covering the P&L region. All right, now that I said that word, let's move on to the next match.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we could talk about the television championship. We have Four Corner Survival with Dragon Lee, Bobby Fish, and Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll, who is the TV champion. And so that's going to be pretty cool to see him come out with the belt and, already be a big deal in Ring of Honor. Him and Ospreay, we discussed their lengthy rivalry in England and all over the world, basically. So it's going to be great to see them interact. And Fish and Lee have been really good. I've enjoyed Fish's work. So, it should be a really good match.
I completely agree. This might be the match that I think in some ways I'm most excited for from a pure wrestling standpoint.
I think this will be the opener. because of that.
Okay, I could see that. I mean, when Fish originally lost, because he had his kayfabe had his ribs injured by Adam Page and Adam Cole, so he lost a proving ground match to Dragon Lee, which allowed Dragon Lee to basically earn the opportunity to get a title shot. So when it was first announced and it was just Fish versus Dragon Lee, I was super confused because it just felt for Final Battle. This didn't seem like a final battle. It was Fish was injured, Lee gets a shot. It just seemed a little odd. And then they went on the tour of England, and you had Ospreay win it, and then you had Skrull win it, and now everyone has. Now it all makes sense. Bobby Fish deserves a rematch because he never got one because Ospreay lost it that quickly. Ospreay deserves a rematch because he just recently was the champion and lost it. Dragon Lee had already earned his match. This is perfectly told. This an international four corners, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I do see Skrull retaining though. I don't see.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think this was Ospreay could take it, but I think this is the perfect way to bring these guys into the company and have them be a big deal right away. And Ospreay won it, and then he lost it to his longtime rival Skrull. So this should be great.
It'll be, yeah. Totally agreed. All right, next match?
Let's go with the Briscoes and the Young Bucks.
So I did not get a chance to watch, unfortunately, just the way the schedule worked out and my life worked out. The Ring of Honor released the first show from the UK tour last week, and then they released the second show, I believe. So you guys are listening to this. It came out about 4 days ago, and then right away, today, they released the London show. So I haven't seen the London show, but I was reading a lot on the internet about people who were at that show, the London show, and they said that basically the Bucks were supposed to wrestle the Briscoes in singles action, which is that's something that happens quite often. Before two teams are going to square off against each other, and it's pretty basic. And when I looked at the card, I was like, ugh, I kind of hate that trope. I'm a little kind of over that. We're going to wrestle at the pay-per-view, so let's wrestle in singles action first, and one guy wins and the other guy wins, and they're even. Instead, they actually changed the match and made it a tag team match. And from everything I read online, it was unbelievable. I look for the same here. I feel like both teams are going to bring it. It's Hammerstein Ballroom. It's Final Battle. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't even tell you who I think is going to win. With the news that the Young Bucks are back now, I appreciate that or it's not official, but with the assumption that they're coming back to Ring of Honor, what I actually enjoy there is the idea that I don't need to pick this based on somebody leaving.
Right. And I think the Bucks are the champions, and they won those in the ladder match at whatever pay-per-view that was. So I don't see them losing it here. But I completely agree with everything you said. This, like I said before, this is two of the best teams in Ring of Honor history, and this should be really good. And I don't expect anything less than a main event quality match from these four, because that's all they've ever given, and their tag team matches are phenomenal. Right? So I can't wait to see this. So
I'm gonna ask you to do something crazy here, because I don't want to call a winner or a loser, because I just kind of want to go in and watch it, and it's kind of a toss up for me. Over under, how many super kicks?
Oof.
So I'm going to go 10? Okay, I'm going to go 17.
All right. Well, that's not an over-under, but okay.
Maybe I don't know how that works. I'm okay.
Over-under 10,
Okay, so I think it'll. Okay, so what I'm.
You think it'll be over 10?
I think it'll be 17 or over.
So over. Okay. So over 10, like I said.
Yeah. If you're.
I'll say under 10. I'll say 10 or under.
10 or under. Okay. So if we're doing a score sheet on this one, guys.
I'm very interested to see if we can hear Steve Corino scream super kick in the arena. I'm sure we might be able to at some point.
That might be the greatest So the dog really dislikes when I do this, but my son apparently really enjoys when I slap my leg and super kick him and just yell, "Super kick!" It is some of the most fun that we have together as father and son. And then we too sweet right after. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I hope we can hear that. We're going to be in the first row of the balcony section. Hopefully, we're right above him, and they should pipe in his microphone. And I'm not going to lie to you. This is something that I've always felt about wrestling. I don't get why we can't hear the play-by-play and commentary. Like that would be if a company did that, I would be just super hyped.
Well, like WWE had those earpieces for a time, and we never bought them. So who knows?
Well, because I don't want to freaking buy an earpiece. Just put it over the goddamn loudspeakers. You have speakers.
Yeah,
now.
but then you drown out the fans and all that sort of a thing, so you can't do that.
It'd be perfect when stupid CM Punk chants break out. They just turn the volume up and have Michael Cole talk. All right. So I'm going to go with 17 super kicks or more. I don't want to pick a winner. I just want to watch this match and I just want to enjoy it. But
I don't really think there's any intrigue for me here. I think the Bucks win, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Next match.
Well, we have Cody and Lethal, and this match, I don't care to pick a winner because I don't really care who wins. I don't want to put any thought into why either one should win. I think this is going to be a special match, and Cody has talked about how special this is for him to be in Ring of Honor because he kind of never thought he would be there. And Final Battle, and he was talking about he was almost a little bit nervous or anxious, and so to hear him talk about how much this means to him just makes it mean that much more to me because I know him and Lethal are going to kill it, and I've enjoyed both of their work over their entire careers. So I'm looking forward to this more than I've looked forward to most matches that we've gone to recently, and that's saying something because we've seen some pretty good stuff. So just enjoy this for what it is. It's two of the best in the world going at it for the first time on Ring of Honor and the Hammerstein Ballroom on pay-per-view. It's going to be off the charts.
Yeah. It's funny because I think some people felt like this was the least interesting match on the card, I guess, because it's Final Battle and Rhodes hasn't been there. But I agree with you in everything that I've read. There have been tons of articles all over the place and, interviews and stuff about Cody Rhodes and how he feels about Final Battle. And I was listening to him on the Art of Wrestling podcast, Colt Cabana, and he was, really, you could hear the sincerity in his voice when he was talking about how much it means to him to be at Final Battle and how he's more excited about Final Battle than he was about WrestleMania.
Right.
And I think that's a shoot. I don't think that's in any way him just putting Ring of Honor over,
No, you can tell he's a guy who loves wrestling and loves the fans and loves interacting with them and being, in this environment, and that's clear as day.
And, for me, and this is... I'm being a little ridiculous or whatever. It's not ridiculous. I'm going to be going to the Center Stage show in Atlanta. So there's a part of me that, as big as this is for me to see Cody at Final Battle, I think I'm also equally excited to see what he does or what they end up doing with him when he's in his home. He's basically hometown. He's from I think Macon, Georgia. So Henrietta, Georgia. So he's pretty close, to Atlanta.
Is he advertised for that show?
He is.
Okay.
I think here, Lethal goes over. He's the flag bearer for Ring of Honor, and I think as great as Cody is, I think that it's Final Battle. I think there's a little bit respect due to somebody of Jay Lethal's longevity and importance and stature in the company.
I could disagree, but I'm not going to because I don't want to think about it, so I'm just going to enjoy this.
All right. So that leaves us with one
Main
final
event?
match for
One final battle.
Ha! Damn it, you beat me to it. I really wanted to be, because I have such good non-corny jokes. So wow, the this last week on Ring of Honor television, they had promos backstage, kind of like vignette promos, or promos, I should say, that had video over them of Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole talking about this match. And it's just so perfect with everything that they've gone through in the past. There's a slight part of me that feels that O'Reilly should have already won the title. I feel like there was a moment where he had a little bit more of a groundswell support, and I wonder how he will be as champion when he's not angry, because I think he's very effective when he's angry in terms of the promos he cuts and everything. So it'll be, and even the way he's working in the ring, there's like this kind of pent up rage, and I wonder how he continues with that. But on the flip side, Adam Cole is just an amazing champion. It's amazing that he still gets cheered as loudly as he does, because he works so well. He works so hard and does such a good job of making. Of doing things in the ring, and just his facial expressions that are just purely terrible heel. He's so full of himself, and I think that comes off excellently in the promo on Wednesday night this week. But with all that said, I think Kyle O'Reilly wins the match.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be really interesting to see, like you said, the babyface is always better as the challenger. And it has made O'Reilly better because of the challenger that he is, because of the heel that he's chasing. And Adam Cole is amazing and such a great, smarky and annoying dick heel that it makes everyone like O'Reilly better, So they came into Ring of Honor as a tag team. They built that whole thing. I believe they were the tag team champions. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Then they broke up, whatever the case, and they had their feud. Then they've continued that for years. So this is going to be one hell of a fight, one hell of a brawl. This is going to be emotions involved and everything built into a title main event that you want to see. And Final Battle is the year of the feud. It's the year-long feuds, whatever the case. But like I said earlier, this has been building the entire career. So this is going to be great to see. It's a perfect main event for this loaded show. These are two Ring of Honor guys for the most part, and whatever happens in the future with Cole, I doesn't matter. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of him wherever he goes. But at least time, and I'm going to be super excited to pop when he wins, or not when, or pop when Cole wins. Either way, this is going to be great, and this is another one that, I think O'Reilly wins, but I wouldn't care.
So now, just before we started to record this, Ring of Honor released a video where Kyle O'Reilly is pleading with Nigel McGuinness that the match should be a no DQ match.
Jesus.
Because he feels that, one, he's not sure if he can control himself, and secondly, he doesn't want the match to end that way. It's the main event of the biggest show of the year. So I retweeted, so I immediately retweeted or quoted, and I'm like, oh, this makes me that much more excited. And I'm like, oh, a no DQ match is going to be amazing. And then people started kind of flooding. Well, people started flooding in. A couple of people started commenting about how, if that happens now, it also leaves the window for the Bullet Club to interfere.
Right. Which leaves the window open for, say, Cody and Lethal to come out and put a stop to that with O'Reilly or something of that nature,
Man, this is one of those moments where I just realized how much I love professional wrestling. Because I didn't think about the Bullet Club interfering until somebody basically pointed it out to me on Twitter. I was just like, oh, no DQ match is going to be amazing. And then I didn't think at all about somebody coming out to stop the Bullet Club when I just brought it up to you. It's you're right. Either way, whatever happens, I'm going to be very entertained. And as long as it's not... it could be a schmozzy. I don't think I care. I kind of want it not to be schmozzy because I don't
think it will be, and I think that would add something to where I was like, but I think they just need to let these two go out there and kill each other and be the end of it,
I completely agree. All right, so that's our final battle preview.
Or are you just not going to do TLC?
All right, so with all of that out of the way, in terms of Ring of Honor, let's go to the very next night, which is TLC.
Not the very next, but Sunday.
You know what? I'm a little tired of your days of the week knowledge.
I don't want people to get confused here, I just want everyone to stay on track.
Okay, so Sunday night, December 4th, we're going to have SmackDown only TLC. So, first off, before we get started, and I feel like I'm a broken record, and I'm trying not to be negative.
Before we get started, you were going to wish Jay-Z a happy birthday, December 4th?
Oh, yeah, of course. Living in the Rock now, I'm...
All right, anyway, just go. Please don't embarrass yourself.
My favorite rapper, you know who my favorite rapper is. He hasn't even started yet.
Oh, yes.
John Cena. What? Okay, yeah, I know. I really did like Cena. Fun fact, I one time decided to go to the Meadowlands Arena in New Jersey to go watch pay-per-view, and I was in my dressing up as wrestlers phase, so I went as Cena with a Jets jersey and a flat-brimmed starter hat. And I decided to wear my grandfather... I actually took from the garage the heavy chain that my grandfather had, and with and I put a master lock around it, like Cena had. So I wear it to the venue, and lo and behold, they wouldn't let me go into the venue. I had to throw it out in front of them. They said it was a weapon, and he urged me to buy the $15 replica one inside. So, yeah. And that was about 2 years ago. No.
So on that note, we'll transition into Kalisto and Baron Corbin in a chairs match.
Wow, so this is probably... I can't believe this might be the first match or one of the earlier matches because it's probably the match that I'm most excited about. The backstory between these two has just been superb, and I think that this might be the match of the night.
I'm not really sure how to respond to any of that, but I am somewhat looking forward to this. I enjoy Baron Corbin. I enjoyed, his interaction with Daniel Bryan and all of that sort of thing. So maybe he's traded, for Sami Zayn or some type of deal that gets worked out there. But they really sold on SmackDown. Corbin hit him with the chair, and they're like, oh, that's one shot, and Kalisto can't get up. So now what? Am I supposed to believe he's going to get up from 20? I hope they continue to sell that. Corbin is a lot bigger, and that chair shot hurts a lot more than Kalisto hitting him. And I hope they don't do anything stupid with Corbin. I hope he gets the win, and we move on.
That was some of the best acting I've ever done. Corbin goes over. I really don't want to see this match. I was angry that Corbin came in and interfered in the cruiserweight stuff. At least there's a backstory to the whole thing, but I really don't want to spend any more time on it. So Corbin wins. Next match.
Yeah, I think this whole pay-per-view is a little speed through because Carmella and Nikki Bella, that's been a cool storyline. I've enjoyed it for the most part, but do I care or does it matter who wins? I'm not sure. I would like to see Carmella get the win, but for some reason I don't think they're going to go that way, and that kind of annoys me. So, I'm going to say Carmella here because I think she should.
I'm going to go with Nikki Bella in this match. I think that Carmella's kind of gotten the upper hand for most of this, and I think that it's time for Nikki to kind of get a big win. And personally, I want to see my wife cry when Nikki Bella wins the match.
I think it would be better if she lost. But didn't Nikki Bella beat her at Survivor Series and the pay-per-view before that or something like that?
Maybe, but I think she got beaten down afterwards. I don't think it was definitive enough. And if Statwife cried when Nikki just ran out on SmackDown, like literally, like, or the music hit and she wasn't paying attention, and I was upset because I knew that if she had been listening, the music would have been enough. But then she looks up and sees Nikki running down to the ring, and man, it was magical. So I want to see just the waterworks of. So I'm going to go with Nikki Bella here.
All right. I mean, then we can go to our tag team title match with Rhino and Beauty and the Man Beast against the Wyatt family of Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. We weren't sure that they were going to go with this whole Slater and Rhino thing. I think they did a great job of going with it and building around it and doing some things for it. But that's definitely cooled off a little bit. And I think Heath is in a good spot now where he'll be okay on his own or whatever they decide to do with them. So I'm fine with this. I hope the Wyatt family gets the win, and either, we continue to tease the split, maybe we get the split soon, or whatever the case. I'm really looking forward to seeing them with the tag titles and continuing this storyline.
So I'm going to pick the Wyatt family. I think that for this, I just think that it's time. I think that Rhino and Slater were great, but I don't see why they need to hold on to the titles any longer.
Yep.
All right, moving along.
We have the Women's Championship match, the Women's Championship table match, Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss.
I think this could be... See, here's the issue. When I think that there's going to be a change in the tag titles, I just don't... I don't think everything's going to change. But doesn't this feel like the Sheamus Cena tables match? Like, can't you see Alexa winning by mistake?
Well, no, because they just did the Cena Sheamus spot on SmackDown. Where Becky went to hit the Beck floater through the table, and she just shoved her off through the table for the, oh my God, did she just do that? So I think we could have saved that for TLC if they were going to go that way, and that would have been a fine way, but I think they're going to continue to push Becky and build Becky, and I think that's the right thing to do. Alexa Bliss has been great, but I think Becky has been just as good, and I want to see what she can do with the title.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why I think that Carmella can win, and maybe should win, because she can move into the title picture. Nikki can go feud with Natalya for jumping her, and we can move on.
All right, that's pretty good logic. I'm gonna go with Alexa Bliss here. I want to see what she can do with the title. I think that I'd like to see Becky kind of fight back for it, and I think that Alexa deserves it. I think she's really earned it.
Okay.
What's next up on the slate?
Is a ladder match between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
All right.
This is a tough one to call.
All right, so I'm going to say this. If there was one match, if you told me you can only watch one match of that pay-per-view, that's the match. This is the match I watch.
It's tough between AJ and Ambrose, but I might be in on that one with you. I like the ladder match concept. I like the guys in this ladder match, and I think they're two really old school kind of guys, and I think they're going to put on a classic Intercontinental title ladder match, and I hate that the Intercontinental title and the ladder are kind of in this weird grouping together ever since the Shawn and Razor. It's kind of like, oh wait, we have a big IC title match, all right, it's a ladder match. And I get that, that's kind of cool, but it's also like, okay, I don't want to keep seeing this for the IC title. At some point, these matches aren't going to be as good as what I expect, and that's going to be worse. But I don't think this will be that moment. I think this will be really good. If Dolph wins, he's going to keep it for a while. I don't know that I want to see that. I like The Miz with it, and, for whatever reason, they took it off Dolph pretty quickly, and, I just rather see it stay on The Miz now.
So I'm actually gonna go against you on this one. I love Miz as a heel, But I also think that he's going to be part of the trade that I think is going to happen soon with SmackDown and Raw. And I think that him losing will give Daniel Bryan the impetus to move him.
Okay.
And I think this is just a very... I can see Maurice trying to help and then somehow, like, making things worse for Miz. And then that's how he loses.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
Or do things happen in threes and she helps for a third time?
I can see that spot where, like, she climbs the ladder for the Miz and, you know, Dolph pushes her off or brings her down, whatever the case. I can see that sort of a thing happening, but I think in the end it'll be enough to distract Dolph for that second and, you know, he'll get the win.
All right. Is that one more match? That's it?
Yeah, AJ and Dean Ambrose for the world title in a TLC match.
I think this is just going to be a fantastic match. There's no, in my mind, and maybe I'm completely wrong, I don't see Ambrose winning the title back at all. And because it's so predictable, for me, like I said, I could be wrong, I'm picking AJ, and I'm not super excited. I'm super excited to see AJ work, but I'm...
See, this is like... I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, but I'm struggling a little bit. This is like your team is favored to win the Super Bowl, and you're like, all right, we're going to win this, but there's just that chance that if we lose, this is going to suck. And that's what gets me with this match. I don't want to see Ambrose get the belt back, and I would be really upset by it. So the chance of that happening, no matter how small it is, gets me a little like, AJ better win this match. So I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for it because I don't want to, every time Ambrose climbs that ladder, I'm going to be a little like, But AJ is the man right now. And there's rumors that they're priming him to face The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. And I don't think you do that without the title, or you don't have AJ lose and then fight The Undertaker. That that kind of doesn't make sense. So I don't want to see Taker cost him the match or anything like that. This should be, no pun intended, phenomenal. And then let's move on to the big dogs and let's get AJ in some serious stuff in the WWE.
I can't wait till you wrestle somebody with ring gear. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah, AJ. I think AJ's. I'll be upset if AJ doesn't go over.
And what I think is so cool about a potential Taker Styles match is that AJ has kind of stepped into that Shawn Michaels shadow that was kind of just always there. The guy has great matches with any and everyone. He is so good in the ring and so flawless and so smooth that Undertaker Styles is Undertaker HBK all over again, and that's pretty fucking cool.
I think it's the hair. It's just his hair is great. I just big fan of it.
He is good, and it's nothing new. We've been saying this for 15 plus years, whatever it is, since he's been in TNA, and like it's so crazy to think about that guy in TNA and all the stuff he did there, and just never thinking he'd make it there. And then he left TNA, and reportedly there was no interest, and he went to New Japan, and then that's when they kind of got, oh, okay, wait a minute, let's check out this guy and let's bring him in. And so there's always been that doubt that he'd be there. Then when he got there, he lost to Jericho, and there was that like, oh, come on, he's too good to ruin. And I think they've realized that. SmackDown is his show right now. I couldn't be happier with it. And if they do that with him and The Undertaker, wow, that's going to be pretty awesome to watch, considering, these guys have been the parallels for how, like I said, 10 years. Taker's been the man in WWE forever, and Styles was the man in TNA, and something you never thought would happen, so it's kind of a dream match,
I completely agree. It'll be interesting to see how they work it out. and why Taker goes after AJ. Other than, I mean, of course AJ is champion, so that's kind of a shoe-in there, I guess. But I still want it to be a little bit more than I want a shot at the title. I'm the Undertaker,
Maybe it's like the Undertaker steps up for James Ellsworth, sticks up for him. He's like, "Hey, you hurt this guy? All right, now I'm coming after you." Like that would it would be a little bit weird, but what would be great is if we have James Ellsworth like, after all this, I'm going for help from the one man that I know can help me, and he somehow he's in like graveyards and all that sort of thing looking, and then one day Undertaker just shows up and whatever.
Any man with two hands or two eyes can look for the Undertaker.
All right, there you go.
All right, I like that. All right, do we have anything else before we get to the interview?
No, I believe that's it.
All right, well, sit back, guys, and enjoy the interview with Dalton Castle. We'll be right back afterwards.
All right, on the line we have right now Dalton Castle. Dalton, welcome.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Not a problem. So, heading into Final Battle, you have this match against Colt Cabana, and it seemed like you guys were tearing things up as a tag team. What exactly caused this breakdown?
It didn't seem like it. We were tearing it up. We meshed together pretty well. I mean, one might look at the two of us and say, well, I don't know about that team being serious, but we were really, really good. And I thought we were thinking the same thing, but apparently we were on way different wavelengths. Even if I thought we were slightly different, he has a way different opinion than I thought he was thinking.
And how did that start? I mean, you guys it seems like fast friends, and almost really like-minded individuals. What do you think started that rift there?
I don't know. I don't read minds. I don't know what's going through Colt Cabana's head. I always thought maybe he was thinking about delicious submarine sandwiches and victories, but apparently there's a lot more going on up there. I wish I could tell you I knew exactly why he has this weird change of heart, but I can't tell you why. But I can tell you the consequences are going to be dire towards it.
So, the last time that we saw the boys, it seemed that some of them were in a little bit of trouble with some backstage stuff going on. Colt was kind of pulling the wool over your eyes. Are the boys going to be okay and there with you for the match?
That's all alleged stuff. Listen, I suspect Mr. Cabana has something to do with the tomfoolery with my boys, but I'm not going to lay blame to it until it can be proven. But what I can say is he's going to pay for the stuff that I do know that happened, and that was that knee to my stuff and his hands getting put on my boys too. That's just out of line.
Completely agreed. How are you going to approach this match, considering that you guys have been tagging, and he's been observing what you do in the ring, and you probably have had strategic discussions backstage before the matches. How are you going to approach this, knowing that you're taking on someone who knows you so well?
No different than I have approached any other match. I mean, I'm well trained, I'm very muscly, and I'm very strong. I didn't ask for these muscles, but when I get in that ring, it's very clear that I'm a very dangerous man, and it's shocking that Colt Cabana, he must know that, or for some reason he's convinced himself otherwise, which is why he's feeling so confident.
I got a chance to speak to Colt Cabana a couple weeks ago, and actually he said that he's kind of ready to move on and be a singles competitor. What do you think about that, and how are you guys going to end up crossing paths, next year as you're heading for the same goals?
One match at a time for me. Right now I've got to take care of Colt Cabana. I've got, the title of the match does it all. It's a grudge. I've got something. I owe Colt Cabana something, and that's what's going to happen. I owe him a very good ass kicking, as well as half a dozen suplexes. He might get more. Who knows? how good he's been this year. Let's see how many suplexes he gets.
Do you believe? How are you going to get back at him for the brutal assaults where he attacked you with the very fan feathers that the boys used to fan you?
How am I going to get back at him? What do you suggest? What do you think I should do?
Well, don't you think you need to kind of step it up a notch and really kind of go in there with a little bit more of a brutal mentality, not just suplexes?
Well, I don't know. You sound like you want me to use the fans on him, which, by the way, that would be breaking the rules, and I don't want to get DQ'd. I want to take this one with a clean victory. But fans are for fanning. They're not for what he used them for.
Well, also, hugs are for hugging, and it seemed that when you went in for a hug, he had different ideas.
Yes, the hugs can also be the start to a very cool suplex. It's all about positioning of the hips. Arms are the same.
How do you feel about coming into New York City and being able to wrestle at the Hammerstein Ballroom?
I'm thrilled. The first time I watched a final battle from backstage at the Hammerstein, I felt like the company was on a different level. I was motivated. I was excited, and I wanted to be a part of Ring of Honor, and it was seen that at the Hammerstein, just from the very start, the opening music and the crowd and everything, that's what motivated me to get to the position I'm in. And once I got into Ring of Honor, we had lost the building, and I stuck around long enough, kept doing well, and woo, full circle, I get my shot at it.
Where do you have any sites that you plan on seeing while you're in New York? Getting ready for the match.
Oh, I do have there's a wonderful place in Midtown that I like to go for a brunch every now and then. So I'll have to stop off there and maybe get a couple mini quiches, a few mimosas. Not too many because I've got to wrestle later in the evening. But New York is it a hell of a town? Because I love it. Mm-hmm.
I would agree. Would you now? I know that in this year, you and Bobby Fish, have had a little bit of some contentious, interactions. He is, kind of local to New York City. Or will you guys be going to brunch together?
Yeah, I would. Despite the disagreements Fish and I have had in the past, Robert and I will for certainly be attending brunch together. That's kind of a tradition of ours. He likes to get a croissant. I'm more of a bagel kind of guy.
Oh.
So, but you know what? We both enjoy brunch, and we both have different matches. I'm sure I'll be watching him, and he'll be watching me, and then the next day, again, croissant and bagel.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic way to spend your time here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you said you take one match at a time, but what are your goals for 2017?
2017 is going to be the year of the Peacock again. That's what's going to happen. I have had one hell of a year. It's been the best year of wrestling of my life. I've had television title opportunities. I've had tag team title opportunities. I have been to several different countries that I've never been to before. And next year, I hope to double that. I want a title around my waist. I want to throw twice as many people over the guardrail and into the fence. I'm sorry if anybody gets hurt, but I apologize in advance. I didn't ask for these muscles. Bodies are going to fly when I get in the ring. 2017 year of the Peacock again.
Thank you. Where can fans find you on the internet?
Oh, I am on Twitter at noneofyourdamnbusiness.com.
All right. Well, no, I'll make sure that I relay that to the fans so they can leave you some messages, even if they were, kind of encouraging you. I don't know.
All right. Listen, I've got to go hit the steam room. I got to loosen up a little bit. These hammies are pretty tight, and then I got to go hit the gym. You know what? Rome wasn't built in a week, and neither was this peacock.
Well, you keep that body healthy for Final Battle, and we're looking forward to that.
December 2nd, get the Fight app. You can download it. Goodbye.
All right. Once again, I just want to thank Dalton Castle. Kind of one of the most hilarious interviews that we've had, I think, thus far. And, it'll be exciting to see what happens at Final Battle and beyond for him in 2017. Also,
yeah, absolutely.
Also, just a bit of news before everything. Today, Vita Scott from the Women of Honor has actually announced that she has asked for her release from Ring of Honor, so she will not be with the company any longer. And in other Women of Honor news, which is kind of big, at the December 4th shows in Philly, Taylor Hendricks is going to be going up against Mandy Leon in the first ever no disqualification match for Women of Honor. So
right.
they've kind of had like a pretty contentious rivalry. We were at Final Battle when Taylor ended up beating Deonna Purrazzo, and then
that happened tomorrow, or that happens at Field of Honor.
Okay, because they both start with an F. Man, it's getting late. All right, I'm old. Damn it, I'm old. Damn it. Stop making fun of me or you're fired. So at Field of Honor, Mandy Leon came out, and they just had this contentious rivalry. They're actually going to probably air a full episode of Women of Honor, I would guess, next Saturday, and it'll come out on Fight Network on Monday. Especially because there's always a little break, a little bit kind of after Final Battle and the television tapings. But I think the no DQ match is going to be one to watch, and I'm going to be excited for when they release that because they've been taking baby steps with the Women of Honor division, and I want them to go a little further because I think that there is some talent there that kind of bears seeing on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so I think we're going to go into the final wrap-up, your favorite part of the show. Just want to remind you guys that we're brought to you in partnership with pwponderings.com as well as lastwordonprowrestling.com. You can find us on Twitter, our social media, over at Running Wild LWOS. You can also find us on Facebook at Running Wild Podcast, or Running Wild on Wrestling. My apologies. Make sure that you subscribe to us. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We are also on Stitcher. We are on Google Play, and we are on SoundCloud. So, it really helps out. Make sure that you guys leave a review. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any episodes. Most of the time, we release on Saturdays, but on special occasions, such as this week, and I believe next week, we will release on Fridays in preview of the shows that we will be attending. And you can find me on social media at Rich_Laconi on Twitter and Rich Laconi on Facebook. Make sure you also check out all my work over on pwponderings.com as well as lastwordonsports.com, where I cover Ring of Honor extensively as well as the E. And with all of that out of the way, I just want to remind you that you guys have been listening to the podcast that is just too sweet.